Hey guys, welcome. I'm Catherine, and this is Little Bits of Heaven Homestead. It is fall, and today is all about planting garlic. So depending on your location, you can plant either in early spring or in the fall. In my area, we typically plant somewhere between middle of September to middle of October. You do want to get it in before your ground freezes because you do need loose, airy soil in order to plant your cloves. But you also need to keep in mind that garlic needs a period of stratification, meaning that it needs some cold temperatures, typically between 30 to 60 days at temperatures of 32 to 50 degrees in order to ensure that your head of garlic will form. The cold temperatures causes the individual cloves to split, which will then form your head. There are 3 varieties of garlic: softneck, which tends to store longer; hardneck, which tends to have more of a pungent and garlicky flavor; and elephant, which is huge and mild. So some tips and tricks as far as planting your garlic to ensure a bumper crop. I have a handy rule of thumb. That's a really lame joke for a really useful tip and trick. So garlic needs about 5 to 6 inches of spacing between each clove in order to ensure enough room to form the head as it grows. And that also happens to be about the size of a human hand. So I'm realize that varies per individual. I am on the smaller side, but it works for me. So if you've got gigantic hands, maybe scale it back just a little bit so that you're not giving too much room to your heads, because wasted space is wasted space. But if you are using your hand as a rule, it should be pretty safe. The rule of thumb is garlic needs approximately twice the depth of the clove itself, which happens to be just about the size of a human thumb. So if you stick your thumb in the ground, as long as you've got enough width for your clove to fit in, that is about the proper depth to plant it. The garlic itself has a flat spot here and then a pointy spot here. Picture it like a rocket ship. Your roots are going to come out of the base, your shoots are going to come out of the top. So if you plant it so that the roots are down and your rocket ship is going to blast off, meaning your shoots are going to head up, that is going to make sure that you actually grow your garlic, because if you plant them upside down, it's not going to work. It's one of the few seeds that you do need to orient when you plant them. So as far as sourcing, you can buy them at the grocery store. You can plant grocery store garlic. The chances of you actually growing a crop is kind of 50-50. I've had some success growing grocery store garlic. They do spray them with some sort of chemical in order to keep them from sprouting, so you may or may not be able to grow a abundant crop from grocery store. I would highly recommend buying it from a trusted source. Anytime I'm in my garden, I am usually talking about my friend Mary at Mary's Heirloom Seeds. She is where I got my seed garlic this past year. And in fact, I planted 2 heads and I got 20 something heads, or yeah, 2 heads equated into about 20 heads of garlic that I harvested. So it is one of those that if you buy a head, it's an investment, and it can keep you in garlic for the rest of your life. So that is one that I would actually spend the money on and buy a quality seed garlic on the front end, because you are investing in the future of your garden, potentially forever. Because if you are smart about your harvest, you can be self-sufficient as far as providing all your garlic needs for the rest of your life. So keep that in mind as you're sourcing. So let's see here. I hate this sometimes because I always miss information. So garlic, as far as growing it in small spaces, it can be done. You can grow garlic in an apartment. You can grow it in a pot. All you need to know is that garlic does require some stratification, meaning the 30 to 50 days or so in cooler temperatures. So if you're living in a warm environment where you're never going to reach that time frame as far as number of days or the temperatures, you can force stratification by dropping your garlic into the refrigerator for about 3 weeks, and that will do the stratification process for you. Soil, you can see here, this is loose and airy. You do want that for your garlic, because if it is tightly compacted or holding water, you may not get the head forming as it should, and it may actually rot your crop. So if you have tightly compacted soil, you can amend that by adding sand to it. That'll help it with draining. You can also add organic material, things like livestock droppings. That's the route, my preferred route here, partly because I have a zoo in my backyard. But you do want to make sure that you have plenty of organic material and it is loose, it is well draining. If you live in an area that has acidic soil, that can increase the odds of your garlic catching some sort of disease. You can combat that by adding lime to your soil. So as far as planting, the hands and then your rule of thumb. So there again. You need to make sure that it's not only deep enough but wide enough for your clove. And then just lightly cover it up with some loose soil. And boom, Bob's your uncle. So when you do break apart your head, you're going to get different sized cloves. So some of them will be smaller, some of them will be bigger. Word of advice is always plant the bigger ones. Save the smaller ones for your cooking because the size of the head that you harvest will be determined by the size of the clove you put in the ground. So here it is, at some point you've got diminishing returns because the smaller heads require the same amount of space, the same amount of nutrients, and the same amount of water. But you will not harvest large heads if all you plant is small cloves. So here, go big or go home, guys. Plant your big ones, save your small ones for cooking, and you will be better off for it. So let's see, trying to think here, making sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think that I did. I hope that I gave you guys something of value here. I hope that I gave you some tips and tricks that are useful in your own home garden. If I did, please give this video a like. If it is useful to somebody who you love in your life and want to encourage them to grow, please share this video with them. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. I would greatly appreciate it. Again, guys, hope I gave you something of value here. Happy growing and best wishes to us all. Stay healthy, stay safe.